When I was only just young enough to start actually conceiving the media I consumed around me, I got a present that would change my life forever. Unintentionally winning a Game Boy Advance and a copy of Pokemon Crystal from a company potluck raffle, my father had no idea what he wanted to do with it. And since he hadn't played video games since the rise of the arcades back in the 80s, he gave my brother and I the previously mentioned Purple Brick along with that Pokemon game. Unbeknownst to him at the time, he had unleashed a hunger in his children that would only grow and grow the older they got. Video games became such an integral part of our childhood that I can't imagine my life at this point without them. I have memories from those early Game Boy Advance days, but most of them were me fumbling around this 8-bit pocket monster-filled universe, blissfully ignorant of the save function. I chose a different starter each time I booted up the game, and rarely ever got to the second town in Johto. My memories of Pokemon Crystal are minuscule but impactful nonetheless, even if my brother did tend to hog the console we were meant to share. But this video isn't about Pokemon. In fact, I just wasted like a solid minute of your life giving you context to a game that I'm not even going to continue talking about anymore. You're welcome. Anyway, flash forward a year or so, and the library of games that we had collected grew immensely. Mario Advance 1 through 4, Lilo and Stitch, Kim Possible, Shrek 2, Mario Party Advance, Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, SpongeBob The Curse of the Flying Dutchman, Yoshi Topsy Turvy, and of course, Shrek 2. Hold up. Shrek 2 was in there twice, wasn't it? I guess I'm gonna have to edit that out. Oh wait! Yeah, you guessed it. We somehow received a second copy of Shrek 2. Most likely as a gift from a friend who didn't know any better. But as straight baller of an experience as Shrek 2 is, it still isn't worth 2 copies, especially if you share a Game Boy Advance. With receipt in hand, we took the game back to the store it came from and in return picked up a copy of Mario Kart Super Circuit to replace it. I would be lying if I told you I played the hell out of this game because I actually played even less than that. Yeah, okay, so it turns out I sucked at video games as a 6-year-old. Say what you will about how easy Pokemon is, alright, but Mario Kart was on another level entirely, so cut me some slack. Although I never played it much, it would actually be an understatement to say that my brother played the hell out of it. I was always so enamored with how he got a hang of the janky controls, slippery physics, and intense CPUs. From my perspective, I couldn't understand what made him love that game so much. It was just way too much for my small brain to handle. Yet here I am in 2022, ready to place the oddball of Mario Kart games on a pedestal in front of my growing audience. What changed to make me think this way? What changed to allow me to appreciate this game? 2 words. Cheeseland. Nah, I'm messing with ya. I just finally played the damn game. Hello all Nintendo ninjas and epic gamers, my name is Nyaanachi, and this is my take on Mario Kart Super Circuit. "2001 was a pivotal year for Nintendo to say the least. The GameCube and Game Boy Advance both released that year, while the N64 and Game Boy Color were still getting full support. I often forget how much a console's lifespan overlaps with another one, but if you think about it, 2001 had some of the best releases for those older systems. Pokemon Crystal, the Zelda Oracle games, Mario Party 3, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and Paper Mario, just to name a few. But that doesn't mean the company wasn't looking ahead, far from it actually. The Game Boy Advance saw its first set of games released that year as well. Super Mario Advance, Advance Wars, Wario Land 4, Golden Sun, and you guessed it, Mario Kart Super Circuit. Although it released outside of the initial 2001 launch, it was actually a pretty big success, all things considered. I know I tend to talk about this game like it's sorta niche and underground, like the small Australian indie band Tame Impala, but in reality it's actually much bigger. Kinda like the pop culture phenomenon band Tame Impala. In fact, It was the best-selling Game Boy Advance game outside of the Pokemon franchise. However, if you compare it to any other Mario Kart in sales, you start to see where the discrepancy lies. At the time though, since it was the first portable Mario Kart, critics and consumers alike were praising the game. So why does no one remember it? I don't think it's that people don't remember it, but that it simply wasn't memorable enough to be worth mentioning. Actually, the last times I've heard it mentioned to a significant extent were Jay Schlatt's Mario Kart retrospective and Scott the Waz's video covering the game. It seems as though Super Circuit hasn't really garnered the type of attention and legacy that other Mario Kart games have. Like, I remember playing the legendary Starfy on DS when it came out, but I'm not gonna bring it up when people in my Discord start talking about their favorite platformers. It was good, it was there, I remember it, but like, who else really cares? Mario Kart Super Circuit kinda falls into the same issue. I think when a game is spectacular and a love for it is shared, people will continue to talk about it for years to come. But if a game is just great and fun, it tends to fall back into the forgotten gaming abyss. Hell, even if a game is bad, it's talked about much, much more than a good game. I think that what I'm trying to say is that some games just don't have the same lifespan as others. Okay, but if I'm saying it isn't memorable, what makes Super Circuit so special? Would you believe me if I told you there was a good version of Super Mario Kart? Enter everyone's favorite second-party developer and laughingstock of the Paper Mario franchise, Intelligent Systems. Mario Kart has seen consistent releases throughout the years, all mostly created and published by Nintendo, but there comes a point in time where a different company is tasked with creating their own version of a popular game. In fact, the most recent adaptation in the Mario Kart series was actually developed in part by Namco. So next time you ask for a Mario Kart 9, go bother Pac-Man instead, since Nintendo seems to want nothing to do with it.
Come on, Reggie, give us
Mario Kart 9!
How about this instead?
Super Circuit, however, was the first time they let a different developer do all the work. So let's see. What can be done with a racing game on a 2D handheld device with 32-bit graphics and no 3D models? Well, it turned out a little something like this. The best way I could describe Super Circuit to someone who has never played it before is Super Mario Kart on shrooms. Nah. Hear me out. Before you go click on that other tantalizing but equally boring video in your suggested feed, this is a massive upgrade to the first entry in the series. Not only does it feature all of the original maps from the aforementioned Super Nintendo game, there are so many new courses, all much more interesting than those. The premise of the game boils down to simple Mario Kart. There are 3 modes to select in single player: Grand Prix, Time Trials, and the new Quick Run feature. Time Trials and Quick Run are the side features, while Grand Prix carries the bulk of the content. Time Trials are the same as they have always been. You race a track alone as fast as you can, with only the power of your grubby little mitts and the 3 red shrooms in your item slot. Quick Runs are basically your practice mode. You choose a specific course to race with all 7 CPUs. This allows you to get a hang of it when you have trouble with a specific course in the main mode. As far as I know, this is the only game in the franchise with this feature, but it is well needed as the CPUs can cruelly outmatch you in every CC speed. The basic goal of the game is to race your way through each of the cups to try and nab the best rank you can in order to unlock more portions of the game. The ranks range between E with the worst score and A with the best, as well as stars for even better performance. The highest rank you can achieve is 3 stars and is incredibly difficult if you don't know how the hidden point system works. Hidden points are the sole factor as to whether you're a pro gamer like me or just a loser living in your mother's basement. Here's how it's broken down. Each rank requires a certain amount of points to achieve, with 36 being the minimum required for rank A and above. Different factors play into this ranking system, but you can't see the hidden points yourself. There is a long list of circumstances that affect your points, and I'll flash it on screen if you really feel like reading it all. But here's what it basically boils down to. The characters each have their own class, and each class starts you off with a different amount of points. Peach, Yoshi, and Toad are considered lightweight, Mario and Luigi middleweight, and Wario, Donkey Kong, and Bowser heavyweight. I do find it neat that this is the only game in the franchise where Yoshi is thicker than Peach. I guess he must be the big Yoshi from Mario RPG. The lighter the character, the easier to handle, but the less points that character offers, meaning Yoshi will give you 0 points and it goes up the character list until Bowser gives you 45. Then, depending on how many coins you grab, how often you stay on the course, how many times you hit a wall, whether you use a lot of items, whether you fall off, whether you place first, and many other calculations, you end up with your final score, and thus you gain a rank on the Grand Prix. Again, here's the exact list of point calculations, but I hope you get the gist. Now, I know what you guys are saying. This sounds like all the other Mario Kart games in the series, and aside from the way that points are calculated, yeah, it is. But I would also be lying to you if I told you I didn't enjoy it a bit more. Much of the game's satisfaction relies on the idea of skill, how well you play a course, and how well you handle the CPUs. Many of the modern titles just focus on achieving first place. This game, in contrast, has always felt like most of the bad ranks I got were due to my skill. When it comes to corners, coins, jumps, and difficult tricks, this is one of the hardest games to get a hang of in the franchise. The challenge is only heightened by the fact that the CPUs don't mess around. Even though all the courses are flat plains, the courses are all still incredibly intricate and difficult. And because they're flat plains, the designs can focus more on the design of the actual track rather than the design of the course in general. Sure, the backgrounds and scenery are a step above Super Mario Kart, but the mechanics and layouts of the actual tracks are where the creativity lies. Starting with Mario Kart on the Wii, the tricks mechanic was introduced. I know it's crazy for me to express how you can get a spark of dopamine from literally just pressing a button, but tricks are incredibly satisfying even in the most recent titles. Don't go lying to me now, I know all you guys feel the same way. When you go back and play anything pre-Wii era, it just feels like something is missing when you shoot off the end of a ramp only to just pomp on the ground. Even though tricks don't add much to the Mario Kart experience, they're still one of the most iconic aspects of the game. But if we compare the Virgin tricks to the Chad bumpers, there is nothing more satisfying than executing a proper jump. Bumpers are the sole mechanic that makes flat plains into much more than a normal track. Imagine this. You're playing on Rainbow Road, and you are surrounded by yellow bumpy bars all around the whole track. What do? Race the course like normal? Hell no. You do a little trolling. Bumpers work as both an obstacle and an advantage. While less skilled players focus on avoiding the unintentional bounces at all costs, experienced players will use them to perform tricks you didn't even know were possible. Think something along the lines of ultra shortcuts in Wii. Finding unique ways to utilize the given materials around you is where all the fun in these courses lie. This makes time trials and track replayability much more apparent than any of the older games. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to get that stupid double bumper jump in Cheese Land on all 3 laps. Hell, the speedrun for Rainbow Road is one of the most unique I've ever seen, involving chains of bumper jumps in order to circle the whole course without having hardly even touched the road. Along with the introduction of bumpers, this entry sees the return of coins, drift boosts, and item boxes. Drifting feels tighter than other Mario Kart entries and is almost impossible to pull off for a beginner player. Mini turbos are very sparse in this game as well. They're only rewarded for holding a direction on a drift for a whole second, which sounds easy, but oftentimes you're left without a boost because of how quick a drift is. Straightening out after a drift can also be uncontrollable, resulting in the occasional drift right into the grass or into a well-placed item. I never felt like drifting was too easy, especially not in the first 3 games, but it is nice to see it implemented so well. You really have to know your character in the course to succeed around every turn. Although this caused much more practice and replay of courses, it makes it all the more satisfying when you fly through the finish with perfect laps. Then there's obviously the items. Items aren't too different from the first 2 games by any means, and there actually aren't any new ones. I would elaborate more, but if you've played any previous Mario Karts, they're pretty much just as unfair as ever. The real MVP of mechanics, though, are the coins. Coins make a return from Super Mario Kart and work exactly the same as they did before. Collect coins in order to gain speed and have a pseudo health bar, meaning that if you get hit or fall off, you lose a certain amount of coins. The coin cap was raised in this game though from 10 to 55, giving you kart speeds that the Super Nintendo wasn't ever capable of. Talk about blast processing. You can genuinely go so fast in this game that you outspeed red shells. I'm not kidding. There are also the previously mentioned hidden points gained from coins, which can be a blessing or a curse depending on how skilled you are at collecting them. I really feel as though coins are an afterthought nowadays and feel like a burden, whereas in this game they were really enjoyable. In Mario Kart 8 it feels like you have to have coins in order to get first, and they're always annoying when you want an actual item. Not to mention how often you lose coins and can't regain them very easily. In Super Circuit, you can win any race without collecting coins, but the satisfaction you get from streaming through a line of coins only to shoot ahead on the track from increased speed, that is a feeling unmatched. Overall, I'd say the tight controls and complicated mechanics are some of the hardest to master in the series. Not that the new games don't involve a lot of skill to master, but there is just something spectacular about the way Super Circuit delivers in this department. The 32-bit graphics on the Game Boy Advance were incredibly limiting for developers. I mean, even up through the 3DS, developers didn't quite have the upscale quality that would have made a game look super appealing. However, despite the limitations of the system, I'd say that Super Circuit has some of the nicest graphics I've seen on the handheld. And that's saying something considering games like Mother 3, Metroid Fusion, and Mario & Luigi came out on the same system. I'd say that the appeal comes less from the actual graphics and more from the style they chose. It's quite nice to see that the sprites were based off of the renderings of the characters from the N64 era graphics. It was actually the last game to witness those designs. Simplistic but oddly nostalgic, it's incredible how a familiar character design can take you back years into the past. I wasn't even alive during the height of the N64 era, so I shouldn't be one to talk, but I'm sure we all get a similar feeling from flipping through an old Nintendo Power magazine or watching trailers for games that had groundbreaking graphics at the time. I can't quite place the feeling that Super Circuit's visuals give me, but I believe it signifies the end of an era. A time when limitations were stretched beyond imagination and every new game felt like it was defying the standards set by the last. Actually, now that I think about it, the Game Boy Advance was pretty amazing for handhelds at the time. So even if the visuals seemed dated, they were once groundbreaking. Although you do have to take into consideration that Super Circuit is a step backwards from the 3D environments crafted in Mario Kart 64, that doesn't necessarily mean they were horrible. Far from it, actually. The experimental aspect of 3D graphics was heavily apparent in Mario Kart 64. If you look at games like Majora's Mask or Conker's Bad Fur Day, you can see that developers finally got a hang of the 3D graphics near the end of the N64's lifespan. Not that the GBA graphics are a massive improvement from the likes of the 64, but the devs already knew what they were working with when they got their hands on a 32-bit console. In my opinion, many of the track themes in Super Circuit were actually better executed than those in Mario Kart 64. Take tracks like Ribbon Road, Cheeseland, Sky Garden, and Sunset Wilds, for example. Every track was no longer a landscape. It felt like you were actually racing in a Super Mario Bros. Level. The actual racetrack changes with the themes, making you really feel like you're drifting on clouds or racing as toy cars on a giant piece of ribbon. Not to mention the brilliant backgrounds and minute details crammed into the background. From the Yoshi Sphinx in Yoshi Desert to the giant mountains made up of cheese blocks in Cheeseland. It always felt unique no matter what cup you were playing. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I pay about as much attention to the details in track backgrounds as I do the amount of views on everyone's least favorite Nyaanachi video. That is to say, not a lot. So the fact that Intelligent Systems took the time to really differentiate each stage from one another just adds to the charm of this game. They also didn't forget to give a little nod to Paper Mario either, placing Bowser's Castle in Rainbow Road's Night Sky. The visuals aren't the best that the Mario Kart series has seen or had ever seen at that point, but they're fantastic in their own special way, and certainly utilized every ounce of those 32-bit graphics. Oh yeah, NDK's model was provided by Rare.
Okay!
The Game Boy Advance had some banger soundtracks, especially when it came to Mario games, and Super Circuit is no exception. I may be no expert in this department, but there is no doubt in my mind that the music in a video game is one of the key driving forces behind a video game's enjoyment. Like, would Undertale or Deltarune really be the same without those sweet, sweet bangers that Tobias Wolf gave us? No, the answer's no. If you said yes, you're wrong. The Game Boy was no exception to absolute banger soundtracks, especially when it came to the likes of Mother 3 or Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. I wouldn't quite place Super Circuit up there with those, but it is an especially enjoyable bunch of songs nonetheless. The opening, i.e. literally the first sound you hear in the game, is particularly memorable. The pumped-up guitar and deep bass line drive the song as it awakens your senses to this bizarre entry into the Mario Kart franchise, and that's the key to this game's music. Memorability. The songs are nowhere near as complex as any of the later console entries, but they were definitely composed to be as memorable as possible. Having not really played the game when I was younger, I'm surprised how many songs I actually remember. Bowser's Castle, Rainbow Road, and oddly enough the Quick Race results were some of the strongest tunes in my mind upon revisiting the game. Yeah, it's weird that I remember the Quick Race results the most out of all the songs. It do be a bop though. The vast majority of songs in the game use simple instruments with a very apparent bass line in every song that isn't themed to the course. Synth, electric guitar, bass, and chiptunes seem to make up most of the sound font in the game. It isn't necessarily a bad sounding font, but it is a bit more basic compared to a lot of later games in the GBA's lifespan. Some of the instruments sound straight out of a Game Boy or Game Boy Color game, while others are on par with the bouncy trumpets of Pokemon's third generation. So, in a way, the songs feel sorta nostalgic. Each track, with the exception of a few, has its own song that fits the theme of the track incredibly well. Examples including, but not limited to, Broken Pier with that iconic spooky airy sound to it, and the light piano keys introducing the track. Sunset Wilds with a marching drum beat and iconic trumpet. And the tuba and sleigh bells in Snowland that give it that holiday cheer. Cheeseland, Ribbon Road, Yoshi Desert, and Lakeside Park are a few of my personal favorites, along with probably the most slappin' Rainbow Road I've heard since Double Dash. They even recomposed the SNES courses with the new sound font as well, giving them a nice, refreshing atmosphere. All in all, I'd say the music is incredibly solid and worth blasting while playing the game, but only slightly worthy of your buddy's car aux. Most of the versions of the tracks I found online are missing a lot of the treble and don't sound nearly as good, so that is something to keep in mind. I recommend plugging directly into the GBA via an aux port for the best experience while listening. There are also some beautiful restorations by a small YouTuber named Cloou that I recently found, replicating the songs using the same sound samples. Sorry if I got your name wrong, buddy. I'll leave those in the description because they sound super amazing and are totally worth checking out. Mario Kart Super Circuit is something special. I don't particularly believe that a video game has to be groundbreaking or incredibly influential to be enjoyable. The value in a game is found by the ones playing it, but even if we were to go by those standards, Super Circuit still delivers. More diverse racetrack themes, coupled with improved coin mechanics and ranking systems, push this game towards modern Mario Kart as we know it. Not to mention, it was the first game to give us retro courses, a feature that would be maintained in every future entry. Although Super Circuit isn't the flashiest game, as bountiful in content, or even as iconic as the other games, it can and should be appreciated for what it did. And to me, it holds a special place in my heart and memories, even if I wasn't the one playing it as a kid. After putting in countless hours in my spare time, I finally realized what my brother discovered in this game. Intelligent Systems put a lot of effort into each and every detail they could. The passion and charm of the game is displayed in front of you the whole time through. From character models and voice acting to music, difficulty, artwork, mechanics, and game modes, each aspect delivers as best as it can on the nostalgic handheld, and creates one of the most unique Mario Kart experiences out there. As we move away into the future, we tend to look at a game's graphics, gameplay, or publishers and hold them all way too accountable. Super Circuit harkens back to an age where each entry in a series was cherished because you never knew when you'd get another. Well, I guess Mario Kart 8 is doing that to us now, but I digress. Every single ounce of playtime was appreciated. Mario Kart Super Circuit may not be the best entry in the series, but it's something special in its own right. So, do yourself a favor. If you have some pocket change and an old Gameboy Advance lying around, pick up a copy of this Mario Kart game. Give it a chance. Remember this video and think back to your earliest gaming experience as well, because the future holds many more. Oh, boy am I glad I didn't mention that I haven't played Mario Kart DS. Now the comments can't butcher me.